Hi, Karen Wells here again, the author of Unhook 7 Steps to Emotional Freedom. Welcome back to the second installment of Why Can't We Just Get Along? Change Your Relating Style, Change Your Life teachings. Today I'm going to talk to you about key principle number 2, which is know yourself. But before I do that, I just want to say, how did you do on key principle number 1? Were you able to get your homework done? Were you able to reflect on some of those people in your life and discern which relating style they are in so that it could help you not to either personalize all their stuff, or maybe it helped you to respond differently to them even now that you've learned a little bit more about that? And secondly, did you do your homework for today, which was to reflect a little bit on which relating style you are? And once you've done that, that's going to help you as I talk to you about different ways or different reasons why we might struggle to know ourselves and not necessarily have the healthy boundary that we're looking for. So let's get started on key principle number 2. First of all, there's a real struggle with a lot of people not believing in themselves. So many people don't realize that they are created valuable. They were created by God, and He made them valuable because He made people in His image. And we are all of value. And so many of us don't believe that because we've been taught that our value is really related to our life experiences and our character and the different things that go on in our world. We haven't really been taught that our value has nothing to do with that our life experiences are life growth things for sure, but our value is in the fact that we're created in the image of God as a human being. And when we can grasp that we have value, then we have permission in ourselves to believe in ourselves. And guess what? When you believe in yourself, you're determined to make sure that you have the best possible life. And one way to do that is to be sure that you have healthy boundaries in your life. Another reason people struggle to have healthy boundaries is they don't really know what they want. A lot of people just live according to the way the wind blows or the waves come. Too many people do not reflect on what they really want. What do they really want in their role as a parent, or their role as a spouse, or their role as an employee, or all those kind of things, their role as a Christian. Many people don't think about that, and they just kind of let things happen. And so when life doesn't quite go the way they were kind of thinking, they might just say, well, that's just my lot in life. But that's not your lot in life if you haven't made decisions about what you want to do or what you would like in your life. So one of those strategies for building that healthy boundary is to reflect on those things, make some determinations, and go out and change things. Another struggle that really comes up with setting boundaries and changing your boundary style is that there is the potential that you might lose something. You might lose relationships for certain. You might lose certain aspects of your life that you find comfortable. But the bottom line is, if you're growing and you're becoming healthy, those things that you're afraid you might lose, maybe most of them shouldn't be there anyways because they're keeping you back from being healthy. So yes, that's a risk, and we are a type of people that like to have comfort in our life. And when you start messing around with that comfort, it gets kind of scary. We're like, oh, I don't know if I want to let that go. That's why you really need to figure out, what is it that I'm afraid to lose, and is it okay to lose it? Those are the things that you have to determine as you start changing your life boundaries. One real big struggle is that changing your boundary is hard work. It definitely is hard work. It is not easy peasy, that's for sure. It's not the type of person that changes their life is not the one that sits in front of the television all night long after they get home from work or whatever and just clicks all night until bedtime. Those type of people don't change because they're not doing the hard work that it takes to readjust their life, to set up new boundaries, to decide on things, to grow, to develop. All those kind of things do take time and hard work. But I can tell you that it's worth it because in the end, you're a healthier person. And that little bit of time it took to build that healthiness into your life is something that's going to keep you moving forward for the rest of your life. So yeah, it is hard work. You got to learn how to carve time out of your life to make things happen. And too many people decide they don't want to, so instead they live in a relating style that in the end does not produce the best life that they can have. Another issue is that when people start setting new boundaries, they do get fearful that people will not respect them, and that others might become more angry or mad or abusive towards them. Well, that's kind of two parts here I want to talk about. Number one is there are sometimes people who don't respect your wanting to change. That's for sure, because they're used to you being who you are, and when you say I'm going to change this, they have already developed or built that disrespect into their life for you. So it's going to be hard for them, but it doesn't matter. The important thing is that you respect yourself, and as you grow, guess what, you're going to be bringing more of a respectful people into your world, and eventually those who disrespect you are going to drop off the radar in your life. Now, when it comes to people being mad or angry or abusive, there is that risk too, because a lot of people also don't like shift or change in their life. So if you're changing, you're likely going to be changing someone else's life if you're in some kind of unhealthy boundaries. And so, yes, there is the potential, but I kind of say it like this. They're probably mad or angry anyway. So you might as well change, because you know whether you change or you don't change, they're going to be angry people. So you might as well make that decision to change and figure out now how to deal with their anger differently than you have in the past. One real issue for, I believe, probably majority of us is the fear of making mistakes. None of us want to make mistakes all the time, but sometimes that belief system paralyzes us from trying anything, from stepping out and risking in our life. The important thing to remember is that we're all bound to make some mistakes, but we're not going to make every mistake that there is. And I think that's the thing that you've got to remember. Yes, as you move forward, you might step in the wrong direction here, or maybe slip up a little bit here, but I'm guaranteeing that as you move forward with a healthy perspective, you're likely not going to make that many mistakes. I kind of feel like if you don't do anything, that's probably the bigger mistake than risking to make change in your life for fear of a mistake. We really do have a lot of trouble distinguishing between self-care and selfishness in this generation. There is this whole hyped up life that we're in, and we're giving and serving and taking care of everybody else and often neglecting ourselves. Now, don't get me wrong. It is absolutely imperative that we be servants to others, but there's limits to that service. You're no good to anybody if you're a puddle on the floor and you haven't taken care of yourself. So part of the struggle is learning how to decide if you say no to one thing but and yes to something for yourself. Is that being selfish, or are you taking care of yourself? We just even look at the basics: our health, our emotions, our mind, our social life. Are they balanced? Are you making sure that you've got a good balance in all of them? And if you don't, then maybe you're fearing that if you put that in your life, that you're more selfish. So those are just some things for you to reflect on in regards to that. So here is my question. How can knowing these possible stumbling blocks help you to change? The beginning of change is self-awareness. So if there's anything that I said in this teaching today that jumped out at you, I'm guessing that that is the one that you should go to and start saying, okay, what can I learn about this? Because I'm thinking that it is a stumbling block to you making that change. So I want you to think about that. How is that going to help you to know these things? Now I've got your homework for you, and this is what I'd like you to do. I would like you to evaluate which of these reasons are holding you back from setting your healthy boundary in your life, and then I'd like you to determine just one thing you can do to begin to change it. One thing. You don't have to change everything overnight. Things just don't happen that way. But if you pick one thing, if you write it down, if you take a plan on how you're going to do it, it will change your life. It has to change your life because you have then make a determined decision to move forward in healthy boundaries. So again, if you have any comments or thoughts or questions, please don't hesitate to email me at chariscounsel@gmail.com, or just hit the reply button in this email that you received, and I will get back to you. And I appreciate all of your feedback, and I hope you have a great day today, and we'll see you again for installment number 3.